Hi everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Yes She Can project. Today I am joined by the gorgeous Taruna. Hello, Taruna.
Hello.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited about having this conversation with you.
It's been a long time coming for us, though, hasn't
Yes, it feels like it.
it? So, Taruna, for anybody who hasn't come across you before, could you give like a brief introduction into the sort of thing that you do?
So, I have two arms to my business. I have a consultancy arm where I help people in the healthcare sector with their care quality commission applications and to make
Mhm.
sure they're gathering the evidence and have a great inspection. That comes from where I used to work, quality manager in the NHS. The other
Mhm.
side to my business is my business coaching and mentoring.
Mhm.
Typically, it is generally with people in the healthcare sector, but I do also work with small businesses. And I love that. And that's a whole other story around how I became a coach and mentor, probably for another day. So that's what I do. And, I love it. And it all becomes quite holistic in a way because invariably, even my consultancy clients, at times I end up coaching and mentoring them because of what's happened.
Oh,
So.
yeah, brilliant. In fact, that's a really interesting point. So, with your coaching and mentoring becoming holistic, have you noticed a shift in the way that you work?
Yeah, and I think it's been an organic shift, if you like,
Mhm.
because I know what kind of questions to ask because I've had the training in coaching and that. Uh, I'll pick up, if I'm in a meeting with them, I'll pick up that something's
Yeah.
not quite right. And I know I need to speak to them about that, talk them through that before we
Mhm.
look at, the strategy behind what we need to do around CQC. And
Yeah.
that's happened a few times. And actually, they end up thanking me because it's really helped them to think things through.
Yeah.
And then we move on to looking at the strategy and CQC work because otherwise, what's happening with them is that issue or challenge is still whirring in their in the back of their head while I'm
Mhm.
still trying to get them to sort out uh, things around compliance. So
Yeah.
I feel it's really useful for them to have somebody like me who is able to do the coaching as well as the consulting side of things.
Yeah, definitely, because it's almost like you come at it with a two-pronged approach, isn't it? You come at them with the facts and figures and the consultancy regulations, but then again, you're also helping them kind of get their mindset into the best place that it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And I think
So,
that helps.
sorry.
Sorry. I think that also helps to set me slightly apart from other, companies who do work with CQC.
Yeah.
I think that's quite useful as well.
Yeah, definitely. I can see your vision board behind there. Do you want to talk me through that? What kind of thing
Yeah, so
are you
it's
pushing
it.
for?
I've had that about 2 years now. So, and I have
Okay.
accomplished quite a lot of it there. There's a couple of things on there which I chose, the photo or the picture, but quite sure what it meant, but it spoke to me. But a
Mhm.
lot of it I have achieved, and it is a mix of business and personal because I don't. I believe in having an integrated life. I don't think in terms of balance because then you can be out of balance. So for me, it's about
Yeah,
integration, and I
I
think that's
love that.
stronger.
Mhm.
And so it's both personal and business goals on my vision board. It's
Oh,
really interesting when I look at it, what I have achieved. I have,
oh. You need to
um,
do a new one.
I would do,
Start
but
with
also
more.
because I'm a goal mapping coach, facilitator, and practitioner, what I do
Mhm.
is I do have my goal maps, which are actually both. So they're a vision board and words, and that
Okay.
makes it really powerful because then you've got the whole brain activation. So what I'm doing now is I'm
Interesting.
doing, in-person workshops
Mhm.
to help people with setting their goals and creating their goals, whether it's personal or business. So February I did a health and wellbeing one. In June is around purposeful planning.
Okay.
So I do that. So yeah. and it's
Amazing.
really
Do
interesting.
you find as well though, because Taruna, you're NLP trained as well. Do you think that because you went down that road and you also have that specific training, do you think that helps you kind of get into the minds of your clients so that you can pick up issues that they might be having on a personal level, and then that will see how they're affecting their business?
I think it does really help, and it also means I've got different tools that I can bring
Yeah.
in to help them. So sometimes they may be having a challenge around, I don't know, confidence.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's they have a decision to make and they don't know which way to turn. So there's a tool I can help them with.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a new project. So what it means is once we've had that conversation about the challenge or what's coming up for them, then I can go into my sort of toolbox and see which
Yeah.
one I can grab to help them. Or it could be a mixture as well. You know,
Yeah.
at the level I am now, I'm quite confident, you know, mixing a couple together to
Hmm.
create my own. And that's exciting in itself. So I think it does help having the NLP. I'm also an MBIT coach, so that's multiple brain integration. So I get them to
Amazing.
also speak to their head, their heart, and their gut, not just their
Okay.
head brain. And it's amazing, you know, what happens when you're able to do that with them as
Oh, I want to hear more about that. That sounds really interesting. Is that something that's recent for you, or have you been working in that way for a
well.
long time?
It's reasonably recent, and I'm actually doing my master ambit coach training in July this
Ooh,
year. So I'm getting really excited about that because we
mhm.
go at an even deeper level.
Okay,
So yeah,
brilliant.
so yeah.
You can tell, when you speak about your work, you can see that you're passionate about it. Have you always had that passion for helping and mentoring other people?
I think I've always had the passion to help others. I think that's sort of in my DNA.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. This morning was I have a personal trainer who comes to my house,
Hmm.
and she was one of the. We were talking about things that were happening for me, and she said, you know, one of your thing qualities is that you're kind.
Yes, I've always thought that about you, always.
And you know, I think it's important to know these things as well. It's nice for me to hear that, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and I didn't realize I was coaching and mentoring. I sort of fell into it, but somebody said, you know, you do realize you're doing that. And then I went and did the
Oh,
training, and it's
yeah.
the training that really enhanced that innate sort of quality I had, if you like, in
Hmm.
sort of picking things up. You know,
Yeah.
I've been able, this years ago, something happened with my mother-in-law. They were in India, and just from her tone of her voice, I could pick something had happened.
Hmm.
I said to my husband, something's happened. She's not telling us, but something's happened. And lo and behold, when they came back, we'd found out she'd had an accident, but they didn't want to tell us because they thought we'd
Oh
worry. And
my
I picked that
goodness.
up just for having that conversation with her.
Yeah, I think that's it, it's part of being an empath as well, isn't it? I think that's a really important quality to have as a coach and mentor. I
Yeah,
think that the ability to read words without being told them, like
yeah.
you read the feelings of the person, and that almost like the energy that you get from them, don't you? It's really incredible.
Yeah, and this was like over the phone. This was time before you had the WhatsApp and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was just through a telephone conversation. I could just pick up on the, you know, the energy or the lack
yeah.
of it or the tone in her voice. And I picked all that. My husband was saying, really? Oh, no, I don't think so. I said, no, definitely something going on.
Proves you wrong when they got back.
Yeah.
So Tarina, not only do you actually mentor people in other ways as well, not just from a business perspective. You actually you're doing something really exciting, a brand new project at the moment. Can you tell us a bit about that, about your book?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I had a thought about writing a recipe book, and then I didn't do much with it because I kept thinking, who's going to be interested? And then I had a conversation with Shelley Wilson, who's a writing coach. She said,
Yeah,
"There's a book for everybody. You know, write a book; it will sell." And I was telling her about the concept. So it's called Recipes from a Gujarati Kitchen. So I'm from the Gujarat region of India, and that's
yeah.
my heritage. And the reason for writing the recipe book was it's family recipes that I've been
Okay.
taught, that I've updated or amended, recipes, I've learnt through, my mum, my mother-in-law, my siblings.
Hmm.
And I didn't want them to be lost because when my mum
Yeah.
passed away, she took all her recipes with her. And, we always, hindsight is a great thing, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
only after she
definitely.
passed away, like a year later, when, I was thinking about her, I thought, oh, I'm really sad, that I didn't sit down and write the recipes down.
Yeah.
She would have told them to me. I thought, well, okay, I can't do anything about the past, but I can do something about the future.
Hmm.
And I had already written down some recipes for my daughter and that because when I was working, for a time I had to work away from home, so they needed them
Okay.
written down so they could cook themselves. And then I thought, you know what? I would really like to put this in a printed form for all the
Yeah.
girls out there, or the boys, for anybody really. But it was also because I make traditional snacks for Diwali.
Right.
And I know a lot of people don't make them anymore because they do take a bit of time, and people always say they don't have time.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, I don't want those traditional recipes to be lost because they will be
No.
lost if
Yeah.
nobody's passing them on or writing them down. So I thought I want to include those in there as well. So that was the reason for me writing the book. And then
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? I need to do this. I can't keep waiting.
Yeah.
So I made a decision that I'm going to write this book. Then I thought, actually, I'm an immigrant and food is always important, but I also wanted to tell people about my life as an immigrant because I came here to
Okay.
this country in 1968. So throughout the book, there's going to be, chapters on, my life as well,
Oh,
from,
yeah.
when I came to this country up to the present day. Because I
Hmm.
think, and food's always played an important role in our life.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be interesting because originally it was going to be two different books. And then somebody said, actually, why don't you just combine it?
Yeah,
Makes sense.
definitely. Yeah, because you're putting that story behind the because I think food and cooking, especially in the Indian culture, so I understand, it's such a central part to
Yeah.
family life.
Yeah.
It's the thing that brings people together. Would you say that traditionally, in Indian culture, do the ladies not tend to write the recipes down? Is it more just passed by word of mouth?
Yeah, it is. It's generally just passed by word of mouth because when we reach puberty, the women, culturally, although I did teach my son to cook as well, it's traditionally, culturally, the women who get taught to cook
Yeah,
because traditionally the women get taught to cook so they can be a good wife because
yeah.
they know how to cook.
Hmm.
So I was taught to cook by my mum over the weekends, and obviously I'm the youngest of eight, so then my siblings taught me as well.
Eight? Wow.
Eight, yes. Um, and I grew up, so when it was Diwali, because there's so many of us, we weren't just making a kilo of stuff, we'll be making like 5 kilos of stuff. We'd spend a whole weekend making one dish, and have a little
Yeah.
production line going. That's what we did growing up. Obviously,
Hmm.
things have changed now. So, for me, I wanted to leave that legacy behind,
Definitely. And
so
that education though for other
yes.
people, people that don't have knowledge or experience of
Yeah.
things like that, it's so interesting to read about it.
Yeah, so for instance, the chapter on Diwali is not just the recipes. I actually explain about Diwali and why it's important to us in that, because
Amazing.
I appreciate that not everybody's going to know
Hmm.
why we do it. So I've
I'd
included.
like to read that now. When's it coming out?
So I've set myself a goal. I can't be a goal mapping coach and facilitator and not set myself a goal. So the goal is I'm going to launch it during South Asian Heritage Month, which is from
Okay.
mid-July to mid-August.
Yeah.
So uh, my goal is to launch in August. So I will let people know. I do have a mailing list, so people have joined my mailing list, so I can A, share some recipes, B, talk a bit about my life, but also let people know
Yeah.
how things are going, and then obviously tell them about the pre-orders and the launch.
Yeah. Well,
So
I'll definitely put a link to your mailing list in the show notes as well for
okay,
anybody that
yeah,
wants
I'll
to
send it
sign
to
up
you.
and hear about the book of the year for sure. So, Taruna, what's been your biggest challenge, would you say, on your journey so far?
The biggest one is because of my background, and I was never destined to be a businesswoman.
Okay,
I was never destined to be an author. I'm already a one-time author and a shortlisted author at that for my business book. I was never
amazing.
destined for that. Culturally, I was destined to grow up, get to a certain age, get married, have children, be a housewife.
Hmm.
I am married and I do have children. However, I am also a businesswoman.
Hmm.
And sometimes the challenge is I don't always believe in myself or I think I'm
Okay,
not good enough.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter what other people say. And I think you'll probably agree. We all have that feeling, don't we? It doesn't matter how
Oh,
great we are, because
definitely.
I know what you've achieved and I think you're amazing. But I bet
Oh,
you,
right
I
back at
bet,
you.
but I bet yourself, you don't sit there thinking, you know, I've achieved all those things. It's
No,
great.
no, not
Yeah.
at all. It's
So,
always, oh, I'm not good enough for this,
yeah,
or I wish I'd have done this, or
yeah,
oh, why am I not further ahead? It's
yeah,
yeah, it's the same
yeah.
for
It
everybody.
is like even recently, I was asked to be part of a panel for
Mhm.
the government's Help to Grow scheme. To be
Amazing.
interviewed at the Help to Grow conference.
Mhm.
And I immediately, my head went to, why are they asking me? I don't think I'm good enough. I haven't done
Mhm.
anything. Obviously, I said yes because I do.
Yeah.
Um, and, you know, I'm glad I did it. And what
Mhm.
was interesting was when I said some things, and it was just, oh, you know, when I came to this country, I was 5 and I couldn't speak English and I couldn't eat with a fork and knife
Mhm.
because I didn't have to. Um,
Yeah.
but then obviously I can do both now.
Just a disclaimer.
Yes. So, but you know that made everybody laugh. But you know what? People have come back to me afterwards and said that is just so memorable.
Yeah,
So it's, you
definitely.
know, something I made a flippant remark has actually helped. But what was interesting was, and it really touched my heart, that another Asian lady came up to me and said, "You're so inspirational." And I
Oh.
don't think of myself as inspirational,
Mhm.
but it was really nice for them to say that to me and for me to hear
Yeah.
that. So what I'm saying is, we don't know who's looking at us or watching us as business
Yeah.
owners. Um, and I know sometimes you have quiet people who are there in your corner, but they don't say a lot, but they're watching you.
Mhm.
And I don't mean in a horrible, stalky way, but in a, oh,
Yeah.
I'm interested in that person. Oh, this is
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Mhm.
And it's when you start having conversations with them, you think, oh, okay, I didn't know. So I think
Yeah.
that's interesting. And
Mhm.
then that helps me to sort of move away from that I'm not good enough,
Self-doubt.
self
Yeah.
doubt, I'm not good enough, by having those conversations. And I
Mhm.
think that's, you know, if this is about giving a message to other people, when you do have that self doubt and I'm not good enough, sit there
Yeah,
and write down all the things you've achieved in the last 6 months. Because
definitely.
definitely you will have achieved things. You don't think about it because it's business as usual most of the time.
Yeah,
And I think
definitely.
that really helps you.
Mhm. And I think as well, try and try and see yourself like you would see a friend. You know, if a friend was having the same thoughts as you are, try and imagine what you would say to her, because there's no way that you would say half of the negative stuff that you say to your own self. So try and encourage yourself as much as you try and encourage other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things I do is I have gratitude practice.
Okay.
So I always say 3 things I'm grateful for when I wake up and before I go
Okay.
to bed, you know, what I'm grateful for before I go to bed. And I've been practicing that since 2019 and it's just become a
Mhm.
daily habit. It doesn't matter where I am. And you know what? That really helps me
Yeah,
because you're grateful for every little thing that you have. You're not
definitely.
focusing on what you don't have, you're actually focusing on what you have. And your subconscious really likes to know what you have because you know what your
Mhm.
subconscious does? It gives you more of it because it goes
Yeah,
out for it.
exactly.
It's like, you know, for the great analogy is, you know, if you're buying a car,
Mhm.
and then you've decided on a model and a make and a colour, and then you're walking around and you keep seeing them.
Hmm.
Um,
Always.
yeah, that's called your RAS system. So it's good to have that gratitude practice because it helps you in so many ways.
Definitely. And I think it helps with, I think sometimes when we have so much negativity that's going around in our brains, whether that's towards ourselves or situations that we're experiencing, it's almost like we have to retrain our brains to think in a different way. So
Yeah.
by you practicing the gratitude religiously in the morning and before you go to bed, it's getting your brain into that pattern of thinking in a different way, which can be really, really powerful.
Yeah, it is, and it is absolutely that. And the thing is, by doing that, what you're doing is you're rewiring
Yeah,
your brain cells. And the more they
definitely.
fire together, the more they wire together. And by having that
Mhm.
gratitude, thinking about the positive things, that's what you're doing. And you're actually increasing the good hormones like serotonin rather than things like cortisol, which, as we know, is
Yeah,
not good for you. So,
yeah,
gratitude practice, what I've learned is it seems like a really simple thing to do, but it has so many benefits.
yeah. It's actually, even though it's so simple, it's actually so transformational.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. What's coming next for you, Taruna, aside from the amazing book?
So the books, yeah, the book's going to be a thing, and obviously with the book, there's a few other things, I'd like to do. Um,
Mhm.
I would love to do some pop-ups and things, so I'll see
Brilliant.
where that takes me. So I would love to do that. And it's really, doing more. I want to do more go mapping in-person workshops as well as my online workshops. I
Mhm.
want to do some things online training abroad because of my Indian
Interesting.
heritage
Mhm.
and also because I was born in Africa.
Oh,
I'd
were
like
you?
to, yeah, so I'm Indian heritage, but all of us brothers and sisters were born in East Africa.
My
So I was
goodness.
actually born in Nairobi.
Okay. Was
So
your father in the army? Is that why you were
no, it was just that from India, a lot of Asian families used to move to Africa for work and things. So
okay?
uh, we actually, my dad had worked for a little time. He had a shop, shoemaker.
Oh, amazing.
So we had that. Some people used to move for working on the trains, but that wasn't the case for our family.
Okay.
And so what I would love to do is take gold mapping to those two countries.
Amazing. What do you think? You know how you said that traditionally and culturally, women are kind of, that's the way that they're brought up to make sure that they're good wives, good mothers, that kind of thing. Culturally, would that be an issue for you to take something so powerful and transformational from a female perspective, or have times changed quite a lot?
Times have changed a lot. There are a lot more people doing what I'm doing. Um,
Okay.
this when I was younger, I don't even know. I turned 60 last year, so I'm of the generation where
What's your secret?
good genes. I thank my mum for that every day. So for me growing up, because of the age I am, yes, I had that, if you like, the traditional way of being
Yeah.
brought up. But the way I brought my children up is completely different because times
Okay.
have changed. So we've
Yeah.
changed with the times. My daughter has a lot more freedoms than I ever
Mhm.
had, and I give her my blessings and everything. So things
Yeah.
have changed and moved on a lot.
Okay.
So yeah, which I think is really great.
Yeah, definitely. So, where can people find out more about you, Taruna?
Well, so I'm on LinkedIn a lot, so people always connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm also on Instagram. I
Hmm.
am creating a separate page for my recipes from a Gujarati kitchen. It's on my to-do list. I'll be
Exciting.
doing that soon.
Hmm.
I have got a website and that. So yeah, that's how people get in touch with me.
Okie doke. Well, I shall put the links below in the show notes. And I cannot wait until your book is out. I'm so excited. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Taruna. You take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.